So for everybody who's first time at Sunday, the main thing we do, we hack every week. We build together about joint themes. This week we hack is hack number 134. It's consistently we do every week we hack. Today this hack is about open source apps you paid for. So we have one team who wants to open source Adobe Acrobat. Can you raise your hand? Who's this? I thought this is the coolest idea. And other apps like Figma or Eventbrite, we're trying to open source today. Usually we're every week like around 30 attendees. In the summer, maybe less, and then in the winter we are more during the semester. We have a very big community of hackers. In our Discord, we have like 5,000 people who share news about AI, who love building, and who love deploying stuff. And then we hack every week, and a lot of amazing things next to us happen. So we had people who found each other and then applied to write Combinator and got in. We had people who found each other at Sunday and then raised funding. And we wanted to combine it better. So we wanted to have more system for people who want to start a startup within Sunday. So we started Hacker Combinator to collect everybody who's serious, who go all in on funding and want to start his own venture. Currently, this is the third Hacker Combinator. So in total, we had like around 40 teams. We raised above 20 million. So the 20 million is confirmed. We often struggle to track the amount, but it was 20 million like 3 months ago. We have already 4 teams in Y Combinator. All 4 teams, they found each other at Sunday and they learned through our hacks. And this is now the third cohort I'm going to present. I think it's cool to have a little bit of history, what we did before. So our first Hacker Combinator was to apply together to YT. So we collected everybody who's interested in Boston from MIT, Harvard, and every other university who wants to apply to Y Combinator. And then we invited like different speakers. So here on top is John Chu. He's a partner at Y Combinator. On the right side, you see Matt and Ben. They are both XYC companies. This was our demo day at the time. It was no smaller, but we had Popcorn and I believe Diet Coke. And we had Harris and another partner from TVC. Harris here as well. So Harris was always there. Yes. And then the same idea for Y Combinator 2. There we had more momentum. We knew how to apply to Y Combinator. And the only goal was there as well, to apply to YT. We had always food and a lot of fun. And maybe cool is, we had Rich Miner coming. He's the founder from Android. And on top right, you see Habib from E14 speak to us what it means to be a founder, how to raise a company, and of course, how to be successful. And we have one video from the last YC cohort. I think I played it, if it's loud enough. If you guys want to review your information, feel free to send it over. We're very and yeah, once again, we will be here about some AI and thank you. Yeah. Bye. So this was last cohort, this was the winter cohort. Now in the summer cohort, it's like 2 companies in Y Combinator from Sunday, and one of them will present today. As accelerator, we call it like a high effort accelerator. So people who we join our accelerator are usually part of Sunday. They come to the hacks, they found each other. So they are like experienced hacker. Let's go to the next slide. The goal for Hacker Combinator 3 was then to move outside of Y Combinator. So the goal was not to apply to YC anymore. The goal was to raise a successful startup, to get funding, to raise money, to get customer, and to find result. And our motto is build together and start together. And the main things we provide was usually the community. So we know a lot of founders, we know a lot of mentors in our network, and we usually help them to find each other. So some teams, they have hours on Sunday. Some teams, they got GPUs on Sunday. Some teams, they got office space on Sunday. So we provide it as much as possible to help to accelerate. Like a way of founders always can be lonely. If you're part of Sunday, it will never be lonely, and you always have a first contact you can reach out to. And with a couple of sponsors, I have to mention all of them. The Open Accelerator, some Red Hat is a new startup accelerator in Boston. Ethos, they're like a startup community at CSC. We have Mass AI Hub, who support us with the GPU. And we have Foley Hung, who is like a lawyer. They give us credits if you start in your company. There's always a lot of legal stuff. GA Insight and Kundi, we're an iLab. So they're also a big sponsor. To get like a nice space like this is always difficult. And now we have our first pitch for today. It's Artem from Autolab. He's a PhD at CSAIL. He also founded Sundai, or started here. So let's welcome Artem to the.
Hello. Right. Thank you, Peter. I think I'll start my speech by hopefully inspiring you in the mission that we all have a lot. I think it sounds very kind of like big and ambitious, but we really believe what we're building is a very important thing for science and for everything. So you probably heard that in 2024, at the same time, 2 Nobel Prizes were awarded to people who build AI. So it was a Nobel Prize in chemistry that was awarded to the team behind AlphaFold that we all now see affecting pretty much the entire life science. And the second Nobel Prize was awarded in physics to Jeff Hinton and Hopfield, both kind of like godfathers of AI who significantly accelerated progress in physics. And I think particularly last months, if you've been on Twitter, you've probably seen a lot of posts and mathematicians going crazy because right now so many things in mathematics are being solved. Today is August 2nd, I believe. Yesterday, OpenAI dropped this, right? So on top of all the conjectures that have been solved a couple of weeks ago, and for those of you who didn't follow, a bunch of super old mathematical problems were solved autonomously by AI, by people just like basically beeping it and saying, go and solve and find counterexample. And like problems that are 80 years old were solved by just ChatGPT, like find counterexamples. Yesterday, OpenAI published this. They solved 10 advanced, like 10 very long standing problems in computer science and mathematics. So this is what's happening with LLMs, right? So we already had our transformer models, and from that you can see how fast and how much the LLMs scale science. And right now we're finally taking the fruits of this. So many problems have been being solved. But apart from LLMs, apart from text, there is so many other models, right? So if you think about physics and chemistry, the models that operate there and the models that accelerate physics and chemistry are very, very different, right? So for instance, what you can see on the left is a digital twin model that's built in Berkeley Lab that helps scientists to very quickly find physical parameters in very complicated systems. You can think about fusion, right? So for instance, whenever you design a fusion reactor, there's a plasma that you have to contain somehow, and you have to calculate all the measures around it. It's a very complicated process. It takes forever to do that. So what people started to do, they started training large neural networks to approximate the physical processes behind this. Very different from LLMs, and it's very hard to train them, but they help enormously in physics right now. Right? Obviously, another example that I already brought up is proteins and life science. It's another notoriously complicated domain where we cannot really predict much by formulas of how the proteins interact with each other. So what we can do instead, we can train large neural networks that will try to somehow predict what's happening there. Again, very different from LLMs. Giant neural networks, the entire field, very hard to train models. So what we believe in Autolab is that a lot of scientists, a lot of fundamental things right now are being accelerated or even unblocked by the fact that we have deep learning. So by the fact that we can train deep neural networks, we can do so many advances in every single science space. But training models is very complicated. So I've been training them through my entire PhD. And basically you can think about the process like pre-LLM, pre-auto research, is that for like a month, you write formulas on the whiteboard, you like think of your super high level idea of how it works. And then for like 9 months, you try to fine-tune all these hyperparameters and find all these like tricks and hacks that make this neural network work. It's a very complicated process because pretty much the entire model training is like, it's basically based on bias. We don't have like exact formulas. We don't have guarantees of what's going to work, what's not. So what you're doing, you're just like manually fine-tuning all these different design choices that go into the neural architecture. And so that takes forever. So what started happening, and it's already been in the field for a while, is that right now LLMs are very good at basically remembering all these hacks and tips from the internet because they've been trained on so many papers that now they can actually assist you in being much faster. And so this is what we're building. You can imagine our solution as basically a platform where you as a human collaborate with a bunch of AI agents, that help you find the design choices of how to train the neural network. There are a bunch of system bottlenecks that make it very complicated if you just want to do it from scratch with a code. If you want to scale it, make it parallel, make it work on any compute, this is where we come in. So the way to think about this is that you have our platform, MATLAB. You have a bunch of compute. If you're like a big neo lab, you're probably like renting lots of GPUs from Nebius and paying like millions of dollars. Like we initially talking to neo labs for whom like 90% of their funding goes towards renting compute. If you're a small lab somewhere in university, you probably have like a bunch of compute just like lying around that's old and no one wants to use. In any case, what we allow you to do is connect all of the GPUs, all of the compute to a lab. And then a bunch of our agents will be helping you scaling all the experiments in parallel, right? So you can think about, you have like 100 design choices that you need to go through to find the best model. And so what AutoLab will be doing is scheduling all of this experiments very efficiently, very tightly on each GPU in parallel. And then it will be aggregating information and giving you the high-level overview of what worked and what didn't. So this is like really what it is. Right now, we have a platform. We mostly use it as an internal mode. So we work with companies directly. So we come into a company who is like training models, and we tell them, hey, we'll help you build the models, we'll help you build the metrics, and then we will use our internal platform to very quickly find the best neural network for you. So one of our clients, we helped them bring their classification from 94% accuracy to 99, which is actually like a huge gap. You can think in terms of like number of years, it's like 6 times less years in this model. For another client, they told us that the head of ML engineering told us that with AutoLab, they were able to traverse more design choices in 1.5 days than they would do in 2 weeks before that. And basically, the design partners we work with right now, the companies, they are mostly in robotics, biotech, and finance. Like basically the areas where people train a lot of models, they really depend. So that's where we are right now. We also funded, so we are expanding and trying to grow as big as possible. So this part of the pitch was a little bit about science, why we are so excited about it, and why we believe this is the right thing to do. On the other hand side, on the business side, this is actually a very good business. So like one can think like, how many people train models, right? How many people train models here actually? That's ever. Okay, so I believe we are very biased in this room. It's not very representative of we go and do some of the streets. But if you think in terms of amount of funding that goes through the new labs right now, so like robotics labs will spend like so much money on GPU and on training models, how much money is going through like every single science, every single application of like physics or biotech, it's actually like a huge market that grows like crazy right now. Everyone is a complete platform. So that's why it's also a very good business. So because we are sitting exactly in between of the rented compute and between of the customers, and we help them use their compute much more efficiently. So literally like every 10% we help them save is already like a huge market. Someone estimated it as like 160 billion, and we believe it's actually much more and going to grow much faster. But this is our business model. So basically we help save on compute and then we take up a part of this saving. So for the people who started it, if you don't know this guy, his name is Serge. He, together with me, we started Sundai in our living room. He hasn't been here for a while because he was stuck outside the country. And as soon as he came back, I poached him and we moved to SF. But he'll be coming back a lot. And Sean is actually one of the first hackers at Sundai here. Who here remembers the home record? It's probably a couple people. Yeah. So like the people who raised their hands, they would remember this legendary hack that Sean built as one of the first hacks at Sundai. It's been already 2 years ago. So we met here at Sundai, we hacked a lot, and it really helped us to build a team where we really trust each other and we know how to work. So I think for me, that was like the main benefit of building a community and working with people, because before committing to something, you can really know them as people. And I guess the most important thing is that I already said that we are funded, and we have, we need to grow very fast. We have design partners that we need to work with. If you are interested and if you share this, these ideas about the future of science and you're excited about this, here's a QR code. We are hiring very slowly. We want to be very, very careful with this. But if you're interested, please send us an application and we'll talk about it. Thank you. Any questions?
You're already above time, but 1 or 2 questions we can do.
All right, no questions? I guess I'll take it as a compliment. No, actually, no. Okay.
What's the hardest part so far about starting?
What's the hardest part? Right now I feel that like everything is moving so quick. It's very, very hard to predict anything like even 2 months in the future. Like you can see how much everything is changing, like every single week, right? So like Combinator came up with a new model, and you have to make sure that whatever you're building is surviving like robust in this future. So it's very hard to navigate, and you have to move very quick. But that's I think makes it the most fun time to build things. So, all right, yeah.
So do you find there's the models know much about making models?
Yes, and so the reason behind this is if you look into LLMs, you can train like on all the archive data, right? So like the way how I was training models is that you kind of like take something over GitHub, then you go online and you see what people published about this. And like typically somebody in the appendix of the paper will say, oh, we'll try like function optimization in this layer with these parameters and it helped us in this particular task, which is a very weird thing to do, like very hard to come up with. But you like go and read through this very carefully, and then you go into that. So LLMs are particularly good at this because they've been trained on so many of these papers. They know exactly, like they can remember what people published in an appendix of page 35, and they can try and bring this in an idea. So we find it actually very, very efficient. And that's part of the reason why I'm so excited to build this is because I just realized that in my PhD that they're better at training more than that. So like I think now my job is to kind of create the environment for the models to train them and remove myself from this. So that's why this. All right.
Thanks so much. And Artem flew from SF to present today extra. So thanks so much for coming. Next one, we have OpenSEO from Ben. Ben is experienced software dev and a big supporter of open source. He organized NFC this hack today, where we try to open source paid ads. Please come on stage and present us OpenSEO.
Everyone. So OpenSEO is an open source alternative to expensive SEO tools like SEMrush and Ahrefs. So first I want to start out with where we were 2 months ago when Combinator began. So I launched OpenSEO in April. I had written my first line of code in February, and then I like posted online like 2 weeks later. So we had a GitHub repo, but we launched in April. We had 2,000 stars, and we had like 60 customers paying us $10 a month. So 8 weeks later, we launched on Product Hunt, and we got #1 product of the day. We're up to 10,000 stars. Thank you. Shout out to everyone here for voting for it on the day of. And then we just passed 800 customers paying us $10 a month. So instead of me going into detail about what OpenSEO does, someone made this really awesome video explaining it better than I can, so I'm just going to show that instead. Oh, how do I work this?
Oh, here it's done.
I like the AI slop that he made of me. I was very flattered. Good, good.
Developer got so angry that SEO tools finding that we built a new replacement. It just hit #1 on Product Hunt, and SEMrush should be nervous. It's called OpenSEO, an open source SEO platform that handles keyword research, tracking, network data, like audits. Not only that SEMrush had inventory, but OpenSEO is here to change that SEO advertise. ChatGPT was bought for SEO optimize. The numbers they gave you against this. Because most AI sites have direct access to real search data, so it embeds the volumes of all else of the data. OpenSEO mixes that so that every connector that plugs their devices straight into real keyword data. Same AI, except now the strategy and rights runs on product numbers. It also plugs into your Google search nozzle, and that data costs and cost. The repo is euros. You pay for data for provides 5,000 keyword search, and 100 searches plus 50 keywords is inside $10 a month. Instead of installing the alert and getting one API key logic prompt, and you're not technical, the hosted version is net a month and zeros that number. Set is still sponsors still paying $100 a month for keyword research. Sorry for that. Sweet, yeah. So you said it was a free replacement. It costs money, and that's what kind of makes it an awesome open source tool. Is
the SEO data itself is really expensive, so it costs money to host it as an open source product like self-host. So people I think are more susceptible to just signing up for the paid tier because of that. So our customers are entrepreneurs. So I think a lot of us think of tech founders, like people building SaaSes, but also a lot of our customers run like local businesses and services. So they might have a marketing agency, or they run like a law firm in a city in Kentucky, or they're a wedding photographer, things like this. And actually, too, like 75% of our customers are not based in the United States. So what they want is just organic traffic to their website so that they can make money. So it's a pretty great exchange there. So why is this working now? It didn't really matter like 8 months ago if an SEO tool was $10 a month, because you needed to have someone that knows how to do SEO, and it would take like 10, 20 hours a week. So it's something that people would just wait on and then outsource. But now Claude can do the SEO for you. So it's essentially just opening up this whole new market, making SEO accessible to people that couldn't do it before. And then our tool is like the cheapest, and it just plugs straight into your agent, and they work perfectly together. So we're starting with SEO software, but our goal is to make software and agents available to everyone instead of it all being behind, $100 a month subscriptions. When I was starting working on it, I was pretty inspired by the founder of Zynga, who has this good clip of proven better new. He has this, they made like Farmville and Word with Friends, but there's this story he has about making Zynga Poker, which is one of their most successful games. And his team was trying to come up with like new, more fun versions of poker. He was like, we don't need to reinvent poker. Let's just make poker, and then we'll make it better as we learn from our customers. That's kind of the philosophy I'm taking with OpenSEO. But OpenSEO is going to be the first of many products, and we want to move into other verticals that entrepreneurs need. So things like email marketing, CRM, customer service, and really any SaaS that currently people are paying for in enterprises should be accessible to someone who's just starting a business. And it should all be under one $10 a month subscription with no upsells, no lock-in. You get the full thing out of the back. And then if you need more usage, you just can pay for it, and it scales as you grow. So in the next 3 months, I want to continue growing OpenSEO, but also begin to fundraise, as I'm bootstrapped right now. It's just me. And then I want to hire someone for growth and add 2 engineers. So happy to take a question or two, and if anyone wants to get in touch, there's my email. Questions?
And how do you think about like generating information, right? Folks really trying out for showing up themselves.
Yeah, so like that's the number one requested feature that we don't have right now, which is better support for how to use ChatGPT talking about me. We have like basic support for it, but it's something that's going to be our next big product that launch, is like we have good AI visibility now. But it's all SEO. So like the way that the ChatGPT plug work is, it does a web search and then it summarizes all of those results. So I think it's just about doing standard SEO practices, putting information on your website and off your website about your business, and just making sure that you're seen so that the AIs know about you and understand what your business does.
Can you briefly comment on how you got the initial traction to get all those views and positive, and how is that strategy going to either continue or change as you now try to speak further?
Yeah. So I was working on other open source projects that I couldn't really get traction for. And then I was like looking into SEO because of that, and I realized that this was a great thing to make an open source alternative to, because people just hate the tools and they're already using the data provider that we use now to like vibe code their own options. So I was like, oh, this is great, because these SEO people that aren't engineers are vibe coding this. I'll make a good open source version. And I asked, like, what do you want? And they were like, yeah, we want this. So I started building it, and then I vibe coded that, and I launched it in like a week, and then it did really well on Reddit. And that's how I got like my first like 250 stars. and I just focused on that from there on.
Bene, avevo votato.
Cool.
Thanks so much. Next one, please, Eric on stage. He also extra blue comments the pitch today. He has his own hacker club at VU and is a VU graduated and a long-term Sunday member. So please, Ari, tell us more about another time.
Thank you. Is it fine to share my screen?
Oh, two, yeah.
Okay, so I guess I won't do the demo, but I have a kind of a back demo prepared. Anyways, this is Maritime. I'll give like some background of like the issue that we're trying to solve. Essentially, like, over the past maybe 4 or 5 months, we've learned that building an agent is fairly easy, mainly because it's like the work has been done for you. There's so many open source frameworks, like OpenClaw, Hermes, ZeroClaw, like a new framework comes out every other day. And so you don't really have to build agents anymore. That's your company. But running it is usually the hard part. You run it locally in the Mac Mini, in the cloud. It's a lot of options. And it differs from running a quote unquote agent, which is actually like a workflow or a pipeline, to a truly isolated, dedicated agent, which is just like a new concept that's sort of come about over the last that's been popularized over the last 4 or 5 months. So one option is to run an autonomous agent locally, and this is typically safer than most people claim. It does expose your files, and like it has a non-zero risk factor, and so it's like if security is concerned and you want to run an agent locally, how do we make our local agents safer but still capable? Well, we can use containerization. So you can use Docker or stuff like this and isolate your file system and run as many agents as you want locally, which is a good solution. And like on top of this, for example, OpenClaw or like a lot of these frameworks have their own like sandboxing built in to have scope functionality. But yeah, as the name suggests, it scopes functionality. The whole point of an autonomous agent is it has access to everything and can do anything. And if you limit access, well, it can't really do much, right? And the other issue is that if you run an agent on your computer, it only runs when your computer is on. And especially if you're serving other like customers with your agent, well, you can't really use your computer as a server. You need something in the cloud potentially. What about Mac Mini? The whole Mac Mini craze in like January, February. It was popularized mainly because it can always be on. It's a dedicated computer. You have like your own files and like it won't expose everything. You flex on your friends, and it's just a cool thing to have. And it's ideal if you have a big budget, and if you're using it for like personal use. It's not so ideal when you have something cheap but something easy to set up. And again, if you are trying to start a company that's serving agents to other users, this is not like a good solution. You shouldn't really be running your own server because there's a lot of issues associated with that. And so kind of getting down to the core infra of agents, especially things like OpenClaw. The like runtime size of agents has blown up. It's like 2 gigs, for example, the super heavy. Like, I mean, this is like when it's idle, it's using 710 megabytes of RAM, huge amount. If you're running a Crew AI, it takes out 10, 20 megabytes. And the other thing that we noticed is that, agents are quite bursty. And so traditionally, you'd expect agents to be on a server that's always on, right? Maximum functionality. Not really. I mean, if you like look at these peaks, when an agent isn't running, it's not using any CPU, which means it's just literally thing that's sitting there idle. And so having some sort of dedicated server for each agent is very wasteful. Yeah, basically, agents aren't doing work 24/7. And so it doesn't really make sense to have them on like an EC2 instance or something, right? That's always on. And so that's, I mean, does this technically mean we can use some sort of serverless architecture? Kind of. I mean, agents still do require like things like memory, so state, or long running tasks, tool access, the API's browsers, and also maybe potentially coordination across steps. So if you try to set up, I don't know, OpenClaw into this Lambda, which I haven't tried, but if anybody has tried it, please let me know, and I'd be very interested. They're very, very difficult to do, and it does also end up being quite expensive. And that's kind of the problem that we're trying to solve in Maritime. And what we do is we essentially run your agents in micro-VMs, and it could be like any sort of agent, open source framework or closed source, whatever. We look at the CPU usage of each single agent, and so when the agent's like CPU usage goes down to 0 for the 5 minutes, we take a snapshot of the entire VM, pull it out of the servers, and we essentially free the compute for another agent. And then we listen to incoming calls when you send the request to your agent, and put your agent up in around actually 125 milliseconds now. And so you only end up using compute when you need it. And like the whole point of this is that we believe there's going to be billions, if not trillions of agents in the future for consumers, for businesses, and for agents themselves, like sub agents. And like current infra is really, really, really early for this. And it does get quite expensive. And specifically for companies, for example, like Poke by Interaction or Orchid, there's all these companies coming out of SF that what they do is they serve agents to consumers, like productivity agent, right, for each consumer. Their margins, if you were to use like EC2s and have each single user have their own dedicated EC2, they'd be spending like $24 a month on costs per user. Well, obviously, if you want to make profit, you have to be marking that up for like $50 a month or something. So it's just not very economical if you want to serve agents. And so that's sort of what we're trying to do. I had a demo prepared, but essentially for last week, we had our first Sunday in San Francisco. And what I did was I created an agent on Maritime. If you guys want to text this on iMessage, essentially what I did was I forked Hermes and I connected it to Luma, and it had access to the participants of last week's Sunday. I literally bad coded the agent itself. It was just, I took the Hermes like open source repo, added a couple of MD files and connections, integrated SendBlue, and then ran it in Maritime. And essentially when anybody texts this number, what's happening is we have a bunch of VMs in the background running that are preloaded with the agent that I made. And they're just sitting there idle. So they're like quote unquote warm instances. And whenever you send a text, we allocate a individual VM to like you, to your phone number. So you have that VM forever. It's essentially your own dedicated workspace to your own like file system and everything. So if your agent messes up, well, it's just your VM that gets blown up. Yeah, so you get your own workspace, your own agent, and your own fully capable VM for around 2% of the price of what you've paid to AWS. Who was able to send a text to here? Did it reply?
No.
Yeah. Does it say red?
No.
Left on red?
No.
Wait. I'm not gonna check. I shouldn't have asked if it worked or not. It should be on iMessage. Yeah. It worked for last Sunday, so I promise I won't fix it. We did upgrade our billing like actually last night. So that might be an issue. Any responses yet? No? Sure. You got a response. Okay, thank God. Okay. At least I got one. I see there's 5 new people. I wish I could share my screen to see what's going on. Show what's going on. Let me try and join this Zoom again. What do you mean? Does it sound like me? Well, what is it? Yeah, all right, that's fine. Yeah. So I mean, I because the reason I made this was the last Sunday was YC South School, and me, Artem, and Maria wanted to go there. So we left Sunday by 3 hours, and I told people, use this agent if you want to have any questions about Sunday or if you want to meet new people instead. So it's kind of my replacement. So I do want to share this screen really quick. Let's see, give me 1 second. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think so. I'll just turn my screen. No, I'm on my hotspot. That wasn't okay. It's fine. Okay. I don't know. If you can kind of see, essentially, I can see all of your digital PMs and your phone numbers tied to it. And yeah, you have like your own 2 gig RAM instance with like 5 gigs of workspace, and it's entirely yours forever. And on like, if you're a company that's selling agents, if you're paying us around $1 a month for each workspace or a PM, and on our end, our costs are cents. But yeah, we moved to San Francisco a month ago, raised funding. We have some space left for angels. And my next ask is, if you know any companies that are selling agents, please let me know. We're always looking for customers. Thank you.
Above time, but we can do one final question.
Yeah.
I was wondering, to work, I know what kind of competitive with like skills.
Yeah, that's up to you. I mean, think of us as Vercel. You are making a web app or whatever, and you just post it and make it great, optimized for each of those stuff. So it's like we don't really touch agents. We post them. Yeah. All right, thank you.
Our next speaker is Naveed, Shira's AI, the long-term Sundai member, and he always talked about robotics and his X-Boston dynamics. Please share your screen and let's try the audio.
Okay.
Thank you. Hello, hi everyone. My name is Dula. I'm the founder of Witness. So basically, Witness is. Let me try this one. Okay. So basically, Witness is a media verification infrastructure for the AI era. As it gets really difficult right now to differentiate what is AI and what is real for anyone right now, and this is especially getting enterprises. So because attackers now using synthetic media in KYC checks, insurance claims, or hiring, or payment approvals. And these teams working in these workflows, they don't really have any way to tell what's real. And this is already quite expensive to give you an understanding about what's the scale right now. So Deloitte is projecting US Gen AI fraud losses by 2027, $40 billion. And average loss per defect incident is $280,000. And already the defect detection market itself is projected to get $16 billion by the end of this year. So as you can guess, it's a really big problem, but these numbers make it even more real. So what's the current situation? So there are some detectors, but current detectors don't really hold up. Especially they are trained on the lab and they provide high accuracy results, but they're quite inaccurate with the real data in the wild. And they provide only a score with not many explanations how they ended up in that result. And if anyone wants to act on it, they cannot use this as an evidence or a court verifiable claim. So in Witness, we are checking every signal in the media and different media types. We have high accuracy models trained in-house, and we have specialized models for different fraud types, media types, and different generators. And we are providing this as through our consumer tools and through our enterprise API and MCP for AI agents as well. So we are starting with where people already are. So we have currently a web app and web extension, browser extension. So people can drop in a file and media. You can try it on our website, witness.vision, and check if the media is AI or not. And we are also checking the C2PA provenance tags if they have any. But we are not relying on those because in internet media is shared on as screenshots, or if a media is uploaded to a social media platform, all the meta tag is removed. So our models are trained not depending on that. And we are also bringing the mobile app. It's coming up soon. So this is mostly for individuals who's trying to check a profile picture on a dating app or a listing before buying something. Or our power users are journalists, newsrooms, fact checkers, and investigators and paralegals. For the enterprise, it's on an API call. Basically, they can get the structured result, the verdict, through an API call and integrate it to their existing workflows. And this is for mostly insurers checking a claim at intake or a marketplace or a media platform. Trust and safety teams, banks, and law firms can also use it. On the top, we are also providing a forensic standard reporting, and we are providing the result with the confidence score. Also, we are attributing which generator our tools found that the deepfake or AI generated media was made. And we are providing the methods and findings and disclosing the error rates as well, and providing a signed hashed chain of custody. And this is mostly built for compliance with the standards such as Goldberg and FRE. And it's me right now, the team. I'm a detection researcher and a full stack developer. I have 8 years of experience in tech before. I worked in process engineering, product and marketing lead. And I have an MBA and master's in data science as well. So far, our consumer tools are launching soon. You can try the first free version on our website. And you can reach out to me from our website as well and follow our progress. And thank you so much for listening. Any questions?
How is your technology beating technology of the competition?
Yeah, so in detection, so the one thing is the accuracy, and another thing is the engineering around it. So we are checking different specialized models for different fraud types. So for example, deepfake, like a face altering method, has a different model versus a fully AI generated video or image has a different model. So yeah, we have different routing around our solutions as well.
My understanding is that your product is going to be an API call from someplace like Facebook or Instagram. It's going to bring something like my photos, my family over to your servers. There's two ways that you handle this, and I know with deepfake, it's actually really useful to have a bunch of saved photos so that if you're doing King or sneakers on the encodings of them all, you have a bunch of like really good ground truth, and then you have like DeepSeek and all the other models in their own little clusters, so you could attribute it well. But what do you do in practice when this is PII? This is maybe people want to hide it. How do you thread the needle?
Mhm. Yeah, social media platforms might use it as if there are customers, if they want to check what's uploaded to the platform, AI or not, and they can decide on what to do with it. If they want to like block it, or if they want to add a tag that is like warning users that is AI generated. So that's one thing. But like we are not touching on any private data. So it's like basically all the public data people want to upload or their clients or the enterprise want to share.
Next question.
Yes.
Next one we have Colt with Citable. He's also a long-term Sundai member and Harvard graduate. Please tell us more about Citable.
Hey guys, it's super excited to meet everyone here. My name is Cole, and I just graduated from Harvard, and I'm founder of Citable. So what Citable does is we're an autonomous growth team for agentic commerce. And this comes from the real customer pain that we've been helping for the past few months. And what we see is that people are now getting super excited to just to do some due diligence on ChatGPT or other platforms to just take a look. When you're planning to buy something high considerate that requires some extra thought, you don't want to miss any discounts or money away. So you're asking ChatGPT to give you a prioritized list of exactly what you want to buy. And during this progress, actually the entire user decision journey is collapsed into AI. And merchants from the other side, they would only receive bot logs of AI crawling your website, and then the user just decides to buy. As a merchant side, you have no idea what's going on. Who knows that? OpenAI knows that. So what we're trying to do is really help merchants to understand who are your target audience that's coming from AI traffic. What can you do to really improve your product page and other type of go-to-market efficiencies to really bring those customers loyal and ready to buy? So what Citable does is we simulate purchase intent of these individual buyers based on our database connection to their Shopify storefront and analytics. And we simulate their comparison and decision-making journey to understand what are the ChatGPT looking at when it's picking a certain dress. Is it looking at the attributions such as size, color, or the order, or any kind of feedback from other users? So we take all that in for the merchants and really help them to understand what are the most efficient ways to go to market. And we are a team coming from e-commerce and machine learning backgrounds. And personally, I've led 1 million ARR go-to-market in 6 months previously at a agentic AI company. And Ella, she has been simulating and understanding purchase decision intent at Visa out of 3.2 billion transactions. And other teammates, we have combined expertise in e-commerce growth and data pipelines. So how exactly Citable works for a merchant? So let's say for merchants, what we do is basically we tell you what is the sales opportunity here. How big, how much is it from those AI traffic? Who are the target audience that you're trying to sell that's actually coming through AI? And then we will spin a team of agent workforce that collaborate with your teammates. For example, a person, an operator who manages Shopify storefront, an operator that does LinkedIn go-to-market or Instagram ads. So we connect those people into the same workspace and we check each step of growth return attributed to the revenue. So closing that loop, we can build a agentic workforce that self-evolves and helps merchants to really grow their revenue through AI traffic. This is an example that we've been working with clients for the past 3 months. This is an increase of 30 to 40% of visibility growth. And during this process, we realized that just showing up in AI doesn't equal revenue, because the client decision-making journey is a journey not only about spotting you, but also making due diligence and understanding what exactly are my DAOs when I'm purchasing this object and or product or service, that we help them to really unblock their path. So that's when we started to connect Cloud Code to their Shopify storefront running 24/7 to these are some of the green ones are the fully automatized processes, and there are some semi-autonomized processes, so that we understand, okay, right now, what can be done with agents, what cannot. So that's eventually we're currently building this beta platform that we can help merchants to identify the sales opportunities, and then spin agents to make Shopify storefront edits, and having multiple agents coming through that does go-to-market activities such as preparing LinkedIn posts, managing the ads, and Shopify orders, storefront, etc. In terms of how we position ourselves, we really think in the agentics world, you're either building a tool that everyone uses for a cheap price, or you're taking the responsibility of the revenue for your clients. So we have been helping clients to get up to 30% revenue growth in the past 3 months through AI traffic. And to get that, it's really about collaborating, breaking the kind of silos between the departments, and having an agent workspace that collaborates everyone into the same mission is actually how agentic workspace enables this moment where it's finally possible to do AI revenue growth. We're looking at a 29 billion e-commerce DTC brands marketing budget, but in the future, when we're taking the full responsibility of the sales, we can take a cut from the entire agentic commerce marketing spend, which could be more than 100 billion. Right now, we're going through the marketing agency collaboration. We have 3 agencies in China, Canada, and US that helps us to really build trust and work deeply with our clients, that we have helped them to grow revenue. And we have 150 clients in the pipeline through the process. So if any of you are have a Shopify storefront, or anyone is deciding to launch their store or e-commerce brands, feel free to scan this QR code to join our beta application. And we will be working in depth with you to understand what exactly are the growth opportunities. And finally, we're looking for opening the pre-seed fundraise to really accelerate our growth and scale the business. So if any investors are interested, feel free to just scan the QR code and talk to me. Thank you so much.
We have time for 1 or 2 questions. Now we move on. Thanks so much, Cole.
Thank you very much.
Next one is Christina. She joined us for Combinator, and since then became a valuable member of the Sundai community. She's building Adapt Scientific. Please tell us more about what you're building.
Great, hi everyone. I'm Christina Fontanez, founder and CEO of Adapt Scientific, and we're building product intelligence for the life science tools that power discovery. So in the laboratory, especially the biological laboratory, when a protocol fails, everyone loses. Scientists lose their sample, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, and of course their precious time. And often they'll just switch suppliers. Most products in the lab are a dime a dozen. And when they do that, they often do it quietly. They don't call anybody, they don't send an email to the manufacturer, they're just gone. So what we're building is real-time support to enable better outcomes for everyone. So scientists receive a mobile and web app that gives them expert voice-guided protocol navigation. Think Google Maps voice navigation, but for the lab. It gives them automated documentation to ensure that they can execute every one of their protocols flawlessly. And through that interaction with our voice agent, we're able to generate a massive data set of execution of every single part. Where each step they did, how long they took, the mistakes they made, or even the errors that were prevented. And this is data that manufacturers can't get any other way today. And so that enabled us to finally close the loop. So this field execution data can be transformed into the structured product intelligence that helps life science tools manufacturers build their products better and do it faster. And so what is the product? The product is a mobile and web-based app that scientists get alongside their life science. So when they buy a reagent kit or a piece of equipment from a manufacturer like Thermo Fisher, they'll receive that product and as well as a QR code to download our companion app. And then they turn on the app, they select their protocol of choice, and then they go through the typical thing you would do when you have a user guide. You would read over the storage and handling guidelines, understand the workflow, except it's all delivered to them via voice agent. They'll capture the lot numbers, confirm they have all the right materials. You'd be surprised how often someone calls a manufacturer and are actually using the wrong user guide with the product they're using. And then, of course, configuring samples. If you've ever seen one of these user guides, they're actually really quite complex in terms of the number of choices that you can make. And so we make all of that easy by asking a series of questions that turns this complex multi-stage workflow into a serialized set of steps. And so the scientists get step-by-step guidance read aloud to them. So they've got their phone in their pocket or they've got a laptop at the lab bench, they put their headphones in, and then they get turn-by-turn directions. And of course, critical steps are flagged. Manufacturers often know ahead of time where scientists really need to focus, and we'll put a lot of red language inside the user guide to hopefully people will read it and then not make a mistake there until the whole thing becomes red language. So now we can actually get them to verbally confirm that they've understood warnings. Of course, we have timers. We can do lab math. Everyone hates doing lab math. We'll do that for them, master mix calculations. And if they have a question, they can just ask our agent. So our agent's been trained not just with the information in the user guide, but all the information that the manufacturer has. Tips and tricks, white papers, technical notes, things that are never at the fingertips of the scientists when they're at the bench, especially with their gloves on. And then at the end of the experiment, the lab notebook has written itself. All of your voice notes, your deviations, everything you've done, already logged and ready to be exported into your ELN. So what do we support today? So we're starting in genomics and life science tools, not only because I know it the best, but also because these are complex multi-day workflows, often with really precious reagents. And so it's very costly to make a mistake. And so reagent kits and analytical instruments, and so these are equipment where you have to use often the output of a reagent kit and then use it on the instrument to get some type of output like sequencing data. And then of course, liquid handling automation. I'm sure you've all heard of AI labs. What's really interesting about those labs is yes, there's a lot of robots in them, but someone has to set up the robots every day and give them the reagents they need to do the work. And that's still a place for an app like ours. So what's our business model? So the app itself is free to the scientists because it's sponsored by the manufacturer. So our app goes out alongside their products. So you can think of it as like a companion product. So to the manufacturer, we're servicing their end users who are scientists at the bench with real-time support. And in exchange, what the scientist is getting is the ability to do their experiments without making a mistake first time, automated documentation, all for free. And the manufacturer gets back a dashboard like this with information that, again, it's impossible to get today without having someone stand next to every single one of your thousands of customers with a clipboard and a stopwatch. And this information is incredibly important. It's protocol success rate, what questions that people are asking, the typical failure modes that you might have. And of course, churn signals. Remember that silent failure I talked about? This is something we can begin to finally eliminate. Because when someone opens up the app and then doesn't come back for a week, you know that's someone you need to reach out to. Today, that kit just sits on the shelf, and then a year later, you're going to call saying, well, it's expired. They're just gone. So now we can start preventing silent churn. And of course, we can deflect support tickets that would normally become a phone call or a ticket to the CRM right at the lab bench. So where are we today? So we have one OEM partner. We're in late stage negotiations with 5 additional partners, and then 10 behind them earlier in the funnel. And so these are life science manufacturers that you've probably encountered before. Ones that you've gone into the lab, any tool you've used, any reagent kit, those are our customers. And so over the last 2 months, so during this Combinator, we went from that single OEM with a handful of scientists to over 30 that are in our private beta. So they give us daily information about what it's like to use the app, what we keep them coming back, and of course, what protocols they need. That was actually the biggest finding in the last 8 weeks, was how quickly can you get a user guide, a PDF, into an app like this, with all of the screens that I showed you. And so over the last 8 weeks, I've trained an agent to have my 20 years of scientific knowledge to be able to do that well. And so we went from, honestly, 2 months for a single protocol to 1 hour. And so that's really going to change the game for us. And eventually that agent is going to be incorporated directly into the app. Right now, I just go to the manufacturer websites, pull down their user guides, and then import them. And so very quickly, we are going from 1 protocol to 5 protocols, and so soon 1,000. And so our earliest repeat usage rate is almost 60%, which I'm really proud of, considering that most of those people joined when we had a single protocol. And so now it's getting bigger and bigger. And so who are we? So I've been building for over a decade in molecular tools, first at QIAGEN and then at Bio-Rad. Most recently, I co-founded a biotech called Fluid Biosciences. We made single-cell RNA-seq gene expression kits. We built that business for 6 years before we were acquired by a company called Illumina for about 85 million. And so I've lived this problem from the manufacturer side. I'm building the product finally that I wanted the last decade. And this is the team to build it. So Drew came from Google. He's been building AI ML products again for over a decade. And so he knows how to make production software, not just the prototypes. And Jason recently joined us. His experience is, again, over 20 years in software, but particular experience in voice agents and mobile apps, which we really needed to round out our team. So finally, we are raising $1 million pre-seed to give us 16 months of runway so that we can convert our active pipeline and, of course, expand protocol coverage. I would love to have additional scientists to kind of help train the agent that I've done so far and prove that that product intelligence you saw really will drive renewals at scale. So that's it. Thank you. Question. And so it's mostly about the data that they're getting. And so just for those 30 data points, only in the lab, or 30 people, only in the last couple of weeks, we've collected over 10,000 event log data. And so we can deliver that on like an hourly basis to the manufacturer. And so when they see someone has gone from active to dormant, then they know to reach out to them. We can work with their sales force to be able to say automatically reach out to folks. But the immediate ROI is actually in preventing tickets from going into the system in the first place. Because most of them spend over $500 for every ticket because they've got a PhD on the other end of the phone. And most of those questions can be answered honestly if the user had just read the user guide, which most of them do. Yeah. There's another question here.
About the usage, we are talking about life sciences and the experiments run longer and the investment of new equipment also not that frequent. How frequently scientists just your opinion on the frequency of
Yeah, so this should be an everyday thing, which is why we're starting to track the repeat usage. Because if you start a protocol on Monday, you know it takes 2 days, you're going to do it for 3 days, right? But theoretically, you have some other experiment you're doing with some other reagent kit or piece of equipment. And so we want to support agnostically all of the equipment in the lab, right? And so we should every day. You get in the car, you turn on Google Maps, go up in the lab, turn on Adapt. Any other questions?
About that.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Now we already at our last pitch from the day. It's probably the most valuable standard product we ever had. It's Jordan with Zero Claw. Thank you.
Hello. Hi guys. Okay. This is Zero Claw. I'm Jordan. So I'm like a one-man team right now running Zero Claw with my open source contributors. I've been with Sundai for like maybe a year and a half, and I graduated Harvard Extension School with data science last year. So the Zero Claw Labs, our mission is to create autonomous agents that anyone can run and own and contain. So our first is Zero Claw. So Zero Claw is open source agent harness, and the main things are it has a minimal runtime, security first principles, any hardware provider agnostic. So being in Rust, it gives us some advantages. So it takes about 20 megabytes to run. So it's 99% smaller than OpenClaw. Like I think Ari was saying how OpenClaw takes like 2 gigs to run. This is 100 times smaller. And then it's faster, and this smaller footprint allows you to do different things like create swarms of Atoms agents and then run on edge devices, even your phone. So for traction, right now we have like 32.5 thousand GitHub stars. There's like over 400 contributors and 1,500 people on our Discord. It's run by me and a core team of like 7 or 8 other contributors, depending if you include Nikolai. And then yeah, we're like on Claw Charts, this website. I don't think they have all harnesses anymore, but like we're pretty up there. We probably are the most active outside of like OpenClaw and Hermes, who just have like thousands of commits every week because they just do agentic coding. We still do like manual review. And then yeah, for like traction, other than like the stars, I created like a metric site, and like post hype, we have like a steady amount of downloads increasing. So like today's 4,000 downloads. And then another cool thing is if you Google us or like ask AI, what's like the fastest OpenClaw alternative? This is still true now. You get ZeroClaw as the first thing that comes up. This is like YC Star founder. I went to his house, and he has like this sick home lab, and he updates like his OSs, and he has patches done on automatically. And if you see on the right side, that's using zero code. So like a couple months ago, I was building zero code. So like people are using this, but the thing is like he's really tech focused and knows how to set everything up. So that doesn't really make money, but maybe it will later when we can do like support for him. But for now, the business model is routing token inference. So you've probably seen this before. Back when I pitched this back in March, it was like on the way up, and then OpenClaw went down, and then Hermes is back up again. The spend on this is just OpenRouter, by the way. The spend on OpenRouter is like 30 trillion tokens a month. You can say like if it's $1 per million, which is like a cheap, like conservative estimate, you can say there's 30 million a month in spend just on Hermes agents, like 29 trillion tokens. And you can monetize this because based on bulk API discounts, you can get 7 to 30% discount, and then like you can make that as your margin. And then OpenRouter, for example, they also charge like a 5% fee on top. You can have a 5 million MMR business just being the router on Hermes agent. Okay, then there's a second way you can leverage the data. So once you send it through your router, you can actually capture the data, label it, and use it to improve your harness. You can fine tune your model, and you can even sell this data or get acquired. This is like cursor strategy of an agent harness. And this is a way to, it's a little against project ethos. So I think like the flip is everyone's trying to do this. So I think the flip is data privacy as a feature, where like we help manage zero data retention, and then users will pay us 5% premium. So their data does not get or trained on or used, because right now you have to have like an enterprise contract with like Claude or OpenAI to get zero data retention. And then maybe we can manage this and offer that as the opposite. And then, yeah, of course, users can still like give their data and they can get a discount. And that, I think that's the way I prefer, but I haven't confirmed this works yet. But yeah, routing's good. And then the third way is the hosted SaaS, kind of like Maritime. You can host instances. We have something called Zero Relay coming, which is like you can use your ZeroClaw and OIDC authenticate in and have multiple users on it. That's like a added hosting service that we can do. So roadmap, Zero Router. Oh, I have a PR for this already, testing it. I'm trying to do it in like 2 weeks. We can start monetizing, and then like Zero Relay, and then just stabilizing. So Zero Relay is like the SaaS thing, and then stabilizing is for people like the YC founder. Maybe he can pay me for support. That's pretty much the pitch. The team is just me. I just bootstrapped this. It's me and our 8 core contributors and like the open source community. I guess like the actual business is the routing, and then ZeroClaw is just a way to get like traffic or traction to get to the routing. But yeah, I'm open to take like angel check safes. Yeah, you can contact me there. And that's pretty much it.
Can you hear us? John, can you hear us?
Yeah, yeah.
We can do 1 or 2 questions. I look like there was another Sunday at I think maybe it was this one also, there was an animal club. And I know there's a lot of alternatives. So what makes you confident that your storage is like robust and going to last? Yeah, you need that.
It was kind of choppy, but something about there's a lot of call alternatives and what makes ours good or something.
Yeah, that's
Okay. Yeah. So I guess the main things is we're smaller and more secure. So you can make it where the default is not, or our default is not YOLO. You kind of build like a risk profile. So you can have users or like automatically approve everything, or you slowly like you know back when Claude had like yes, no, or like always, you can slowly build a profile like this, and you can also just like export that profile, and then you can use this for other agents. So you can build more secure agents on the runtime level by controlling what they allow. And I don't think other claws do that well, while being autonomous also. And then yeah, those are the main things. You can build on anything. You build on pies. A lot of people run these things on pies. Yeah.
And then last question.
Yeah, so my question is, you mentioned that you do manual code reviews rather than using the AI. How do you expect to keep expanding the team or maybe collaborate with a broader open source community in order to keep adding new features while maintaining manual code reviews?
Yeah, I mean, it's not 100% manual, right? It's AI assisted. But the thing is, we don't do full AI approvals. So that's how they have so many like commits every day, because they have AIs that can just automatically scan and approve things. And then I think that leads to like breaking or changes that they don't want that they didn't account for. So for scaling, we use AI more and more to assist. And also we try and just scale the team more. So like more core contributors is always good too.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Hello. The red hand?
Yeah, who's the on partial that?
Yeah. So you open up the generator, yeah, they have red mentor, they were like married, he was your work.
Okay.
Yeah. So Sunday is a big community. I'm moderator today, but we are a lot of volunteers who are helping here. Gary is one of them. I saw Mike was a mentor of the squad, Emre as well. There's many people helping here, and we're all volunteers and enjoy working here. Who pitched today? Please raise your hand. Sina, Sulal. And then who is the founder here in the room, or who has a startup or a side project you think you can do full time? We have many founders. Please talk to them in the room. Please share ideas. Or if you're just looking for a job or if you want to invest money, please talk to your founders. We have three more we want to highlight. I don't think they're here. We have Fiona from Nikolai. I think some people now it's like AI automation from Google, Docs and everything from workspaces. We have OpenBase. I think Gabi can talk about OpenBase. It's like a voice-based agentic coder. And we have Maya with Frontier L. She builds like actual frontier models, which competes with other LLMs. If you have questions about them, please come to me or Gabi and talk about them. But that's it for today. Please talk to each other. I hope you all have fun and learned something today. And Gabi, you have some final words?
Well, let's thank Frido because he has been running this hacker combinator on a big. But we have been evolving, right? According to the needs of the hackers. At the beginning, we had 20 teams, and like now we narrow down to 8. So I think that's why Boston is needed. Like that's what we like building here. As you see, there are some startups. Actually, we listen a lot of, oh, I found my co-founder here. This startup is coming. No, and it's good that because hacking is a really good way to meet your co-founder or someone like maybe share the same interests. As Artem said, like one of the most difficult things is keeping the pace of the AI, right? So here actually it's a really great place to keep the pace, pineapple founder, have fun. So thank you so much for coming. I think this is great, and we have an amazing location. We have pizza as always, coffee, a lot of things. And yeah, please stay, let's network, and just find another founders here. Definitely, there's a lot of potential here. So okay, thank you everybody. Take care.